Hello, I'm Clint Emerson, and I'm here to teach you how to go unnoticed. Because in the modern world, you are always under surveillance. Get off the X. In our world, that means you have to identify the X's first, and before you can do that, you have to understand pattern of life. POL. This is used by surveillance teams and stalkers all over the world. If people want to take advantage of you, they have to know your vulnerabilities. In order to determine those vulnerabilities, they have to figure out what your pattern of life is. Your job is to make your pattern of life as difficult for people to figure out as possible. These days, it's not the norm. The norm is to have a very strict routine. Get up at 5 a.m., get your coffee, maybe throw in your health supplements, and then go work out, head to work. Whatever your routine is right now, it's very normal to have a very strict timeline. And you know that, okay, I need to be leaving my house by 7:45 in order to be at work at 8:15, and so on and so forth. Your pattern of life defined is really simple. It is your daily routine. It's the time in which you do things, it's the routes that you take, it's the places you go, and the people you meet with. All right, and that creates a pattern of life that if I'm watching you, I can determine over time what your vulnerabilities are. Whether it's at the front door of your house or along your route or the parking garage at work, or maybe when you come out from the gym, I'm gonna be able to determine all of those vulnerabilities in a very short period of time, especially once I know your pattern of life. Your job is to be irregularly regular. You want to wake up at a different time. You want to turn on the lights in your house at a different time. You don't want everything to be exactly the same every day. Take different routes from home to the gym. Take a different route from the gym back to home. Take a different route from home to work. And then break up your times. Obviously, it's very difficult for us to show up late to things because we're trying to avoid surveillance. You can show up early, right? And it sounds probably horrible because you probably already get up pretty early as it is. But if you take your time in the morning and just chop it up differently, then you're keeping anybody who's watching off balance, and that's the goal. Keep in mind, you don't have to do this every day. Just every now and then, break up your routine so that if someone is watching, they won't know exactly what you're gonna do the next day. But if you're doing the same exact thing at the same exact times every single day, well, then you're setting yourself up for failure and you're handing your vulnerabilities right over to the bad guys. Now, how is a bad guy even gonna know where to start? They don't know where you live and they don't know where you work. Well, then where do they start to figure out your pattern of life? You probably know the answer: social media. Go clean up your social media. Take down pictures that represent where you work, where you live, and who your closest friends are. Make everything private. Make it nice and secure. There is no need to be putting all that information out there. The X. The X is the place where the bad guy thinks they have the greatest advantage, or where they'll have the highest level of success doing something to you. Your job is to identify these X's in your daily pattern of life. Your front door of your house could be an X, because when you come out, you gotta turn around, you've got keys in your hand, and you gotta lock that door. You're blind and you're distracted to anything going on behind you. That's an X. Maybe it's when you approach the driver's side of your vehicle. Maybe there's a big X on the ground there, because as you approach, you're getting your keys, you're looking at your phone, you gotta open that door, you gotta get in, maybe you've got a man bag you've gotta kind of take off and put in there first. Very vulnerable situation. These X's are everywhere. I want you to start identifying the X. Everywhere there's an X is where you need to increase your situational awareness. By doing so, you'll be broadcasting to anybody watching that you're alert and that you're squared away and that you are paying attention during those most vulnerable moments. And if someone is watching you to take advantage of you and they see that you're that alert, guess what? They're gonna move on to the next person, unfortunately. But better them than you. The X for us in the military is usually where there's going to be an ambush. Okay, and there's 3 elements that decide whether or not the X is a good spot for an ambush, and that is speed, stealth, surprise. If I have all 3 of those elements, speed, meaning I can get as close to the X as possible so that when you stand on it, I can get you as quickly as possible. Stealth, I don't want you to see me, and I don't want any other third parties to see me because I don't want to go to jail. And then, of course, the element of surprise, because if I catch you off guard, then I'm probably going to win. These X's are on your route to work or on your way to the gym or your favorite coffee shop. Once you identify them, then you know, okay, this is a point where I want to be paying attention. I want to be on my phone while I'm sitting at the red light, or maybe it's a 4-way stop sign at 5 o'clock in the morning on the way to the gym. Those are great ambush points or big, happy X's, right? Pattern of life is all about understanding that if you're in a strict routine, you're handing over vulnerabilities to those that watch. Understanding your own pattern of life and changing it up from time to time will prevent someone from knowing exactly what you're going to do when you do it. You're keeping them off balance. Along with that pattern of life, you have to start identifying the X. And once you identify all these X's, your job is to get off the X as quickly as possible. Always assume when you're sitting on the X that something bad could potentially happen. And if you're thinking this way, then you'll always be moving. And as long as you're moving right through those X's, no one can affect you, hurt you, harm you, or ruin your day. Until next time, remember, keep it simple, because crisis will complicate the rest.